Hello and welcome to Cookery with Mason Storm. On today's episode we're going to look at making some super tacos, but this time we are going to make them vegetarian style. Our ingredients will consist of standard onion, garlic, large and small tortilla shells, lettuce, cauliflower, sour cream, cheddar cheese, taco seasoning. To begin our adventure, we're going to cut up our cauliflower. Now, this is a little bit tricky, but it's not too bad. So first we're going to cut it in half, and we're going to work at removing the bottom stem portion of the cauliflower. You can technically eat this. I don't really recommend it. It's the same as like eating grass. You can if you really had to, but it's really not the greatest thing. So try to pick it out and remove as much of it as you can. If you have a little green leaf left in your stuff after roasting it, you can always remove it later. So what we're doing is a standard slice followed by a cross-sectional cut, and with the two combined we get nice small pieces of cauliflower. And if they're a little bit long, you can just snap them in half. I snap a couple of them here in half, and it just makes them more bite-sized. When these things cook down, they get a lot smaller than they are right now anyway, and if you overcut it, it turns into like a cauliflower rice, like it's just a powdered cauliflower, and you want to avoid that. So keep it as chunky as you can and don't cut it down to a powder, and you should be good. Just take your time and work with the cauliflower and make it work for you. So we'll just cut up our second one now. This is just from a different angle. You can see it from above. This is more my perspective, and it goes pretty quick. And once we're done with our cauliflower, we need to start roasting it. So we'll get a pan ready. We'll get a mat inside the pan. You probably don't need one. I don't think it sticks very much. And then we'll dump the cauliflower in, spread it out, get it all even. And then we'll cover it with oil and taco seasoning. I was just pulling out the last little green specks that I missed on the first portion. And a pro tip for doing this is pour your oil on the cauliflower, not on your table. Same with the taco seasoning. I may have missed quite a bit, and it's kind of embarrassing, and I did 2 different pans of this stuff and I did the same thing twice, so what does that say? 400 degrees in the oven with a cook time of approximately 20 minutes and mixing them halfway through. Now we're going to cut up our onion. Now you can technically cut this up earlier and put it with your cauliflower and roast everything together, but I prefer not to. I like to instead cut it into nice strips and then fry it on the stove, and I really like how that turns out. So that's what I'm doing here, and just separating all the pieces from doing the slicing so that when I go to mix them and stir them that they come apart. And I'm also going to cut up our garlic now as well. I'm going to do the same technique as I did before with the press the blade to crush them and then a nice fine slice, and that works out pretty good. And then of course I'm doing everything in the wrong order and I forgot about my lettuce, so I'm going to cut up my lettuce now that the lettuce will be covered in the nice onion juice. So we'll slice up our lettuce into slices, and then we'll do a couple cross cuts, and then we have nice little chunks of lettuce that are perfect for the application of the tacos. To complete our preparation of ingredients, I'm going to grate some cheese using a standard box grater with standard cheddar cheese, using the standard up and down motion of the grater. And it works good. It doesn't take very long to grate all the cheese. Just run it all through and you're all set for cheese for your tacos. Now that our basic prep is done, we can start doing some more cooking. So we'll throw our pan on the stove, medium-high heat, dump in our onions, and cover with a little bit of olive oil. We want to cook these to the point that they either go clear or have some color on them, so that they're cooking down a little bit. And once they hit this point, we'll add in our garlic and we'll cook that together. And depending on your timing, you should be able to get it that your cauliflower will be ready at the same time as your onions and garlic. Now we'll take our cauliflower out, fluff it up a little bit, check for tenderness, and it looks like it's pretty good. So now we can move that aside and work on the other one. And it's also done, so that's perfect. Now we'll take our onions, now that they're ready, and we're just going to put them in a bowl so they're nice and convenient to use when we create our tacos. Because convenience is great. Also, we need to use the pan because I'm going to cook the tacos in the same pan. Make sure it's all cleared out nice and good. And then we can add a little bit more oil to it and throw in one of the small tortillas. These are corn tortillas, and when you cook them a little bit, they crispen up, and that's kind of what we're looking for. We want a little bit of crisp in the center of our super tacos. So you cook them for 1 minute, 1.5 minutes each side, and they will crispen up at that point in time. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, so I just kept flipping it till eventually it cooked to the point that I wanted it to. But if you cook by the clock, it always works out better. But I was severely distracted at this point in time, and mistakes were definitely made as a result. One such mistake was forgetting to use the onion on the first one. So it's supposed to be cauliflower, onion, and cheese, then the taco shell, then the sour cream and the lettuce. And I was struggling so hard to try to get my combination right. And it still may not be right. I'm not entirely sure how Taco Supreme's made at Taco Bell. It's been over a decade since I've been there last, but it is what it is. And once we have it together, we fold it together, kind of start at one end and kind of work your way around, and it will kind of close in on itself. Then we go over to our pan and we flip it in with the fold side down, and then we cook it for about 1.5 minutes, and then we flip it and cook it for another 1.5 minutes. And your temperature for this stage has to be perfect, and if you look away for a second, you'll probably burn it, which is what I did on the second one. And I just threw in a second corn tortilla, one of the smaller ones, so that I can have it preparing for the next taco. And as you can see, my taco opened up a little bit, and that kind of is unfortunate. If my smaller tortillas were a little bit smaller, it is a lot easier to get it to hold together. Your other option is to put a second tortilla on the top, like I did in the meat version of this, and then wrap it around there. That way, even if it opens up a little bit, it's just a taco holding everything together. But didn't do that with this one, and it is kind of what it is. But they're pretty delicious, and if you fiddle around with it, you can get them to turn out really nice and pretty. But they all taste the same, so it's just a fit and finish problem. Anyway, this is the general technique on how to make vegetarian super tacos. And leave comments below what you thought about this. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, stay awesome.